I've managed to pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. I did it like 2 days before Nintendo have actually opened the pre-orders. Curry's let me pre-order it, so I have given them my money, and I'll be getting the Nintendo Switch 2 on release day, hopefully. But there's a big question about the price of the Nintendo Switch 2, and the price around about the accessories and the games, and there's a lot of controversy about it. So today I'm going to be delving deep and giving my opinions about the price on the Nintendo Switch 2. Is it overpriced? Is it fairly priced? And are those game prices ridiculous? Let's find out. So if you do enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Now let's start off with the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. I have bought it with the Mario Kart, so I've got the bundle, and that cost me 430 Great British pounds, which in my eyes, I don't think is a bad price. I think it's fairly priced. And let me explain the reasons why. The Nintendo Switch 1 came out, and it was about 250 in total on its own. The Nintendo Switch OLED came out, and I was 300, 310, around that price. And the Nintendo Switch 2 on its own is £395. And a lot of people kicking off saying the console itself is too expensive. I disagree. I think the console is fairly priced, because you gotta remember, it is a next generation console. There are gonna be insane upgrades in regards to the quality and the storage and the runtime, and I think criticizing the actual price of the console, I think, is a bit unfair. You gotta remember, now we're talking about potential 4K resolutions on compatible games. That in itself has had a bit of controversy. A lot of people are saying, well, compatible games, what do you mean compatible games? In my opinion, the way I'm kind of looking at it is, that's not Nintendo's fault. Not all games will be 4K compatible. If it's a small indie company who've managed to get their game on the Nintendo Switch 2, they're not going to be able to probably run 4K, so the games that can run 4K, if they're given the opportunity to run 4K, that's all Nintendo can do. In my eyes, that's not Nintendo's fault, so I'm happy to be proven wrong, but in my eyes, 4K games, if they can't do it because of the game itself, then that's their own fault. In regards to, obviously, the other upgrades, there's a hell of a lot more storage. I think it's like 36 gig on the original one, and we're talking potentially over 200 gigabytes on the new Nintendo Switch 2. In that sense, great. That's like 5 times the storage. Fantastic. The battery life has got a bit of controversy behind it, and the battery life's a little bit on the poor end, but I'm going to be playing mine mainly docked, so I don't particularly care, but I can understand why that's rubbed people the wrong way. So in my eyes, I think the price of $395, we'll say, for the console itself, I think that's fairly justified. I have no issues with it, and quite frankly, I was expecting a little bit more expensive. So Nintendo, I'm happy with that. Okay, now it's time for the prices of the games, and this is the main controversy, the main backlash Nintendo have got for the Switch 2. And games are very, very expensive. And there's no other way to put it than that. They are very expensive for what you're getting. So obviously, I think the main one is Mario Kart World, obviously coming out soon. That has been priced around about £80, which is foul. Like, you can't justify £80 for a video game, especially a Mario Kart game, which in history, you know, I think the Nintendo Switch one cost about 50, 60 quid, and that was a bit like, what, for a Mario Kart game? But 80 quid is ridiculous, so I completely and utterly disagree with that. I understand not all the games are going to be costing 80 quid. Obviously, some of the games, the lesser games, will be costing the standard £60 for Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm hoping there's a lower price bracket there as well for the really small games. So, I do just want to say, the Nintendo Switch 2 game prices themselves, don't agree with it at all. £80 is foul, it's ridiculous. I think the only game that could justify a price tag like that could potentially be GTA 6, but looking at GTA 5, that game's entertained us all for 12 years now. It's a fair enough price, I think. Just the idea of them justifying £80, you can't do, especially for a game like Legends Z-A, which has had doubts in itself. I don't think anyone really doubted the next Mario Kart game, but Pokémon Legends Z-A, that's going to have a lot of doubts in regards to if the game is actually going to be good. Pokemon and Game Freak will need to ensure the game is it has to be a 10 out of 10 to justify a £80 price tag. And imagine if you spent £80 on Z-A and the game's bad. Like, it's gonna, like, you could have a good game, but it's £80. That's got to come into it whether the game's worth it or not. It could be a better game than Scarlet Violet, but if it's nearly, you know, double the price, you know, it's gonna be a lot of talking points if the game is not fantastic. And an £80 price tag, the game needs to be absolutely fantastic. And I worry about Game Freak. I worry that they aren't going to be able to, they can't do it. I just worry they can't do it. Obviously, if you have a Nintendo Switch 2, it is backwards compatible with the Nintendo Switch 1, and you can actually upgrade the games from the Nintendo Switch 1 graphics to the Nintendo Switch 2 at a price tag. And rumored price is around about 30 quid, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, PlayStation have done this, and it's free to upgrade. You already purchased the game. Why do I have to purchase a upgrade to play it on a brand new console, which I'm just £400 on? It's foul. And if you play the game like Zelda, obviously there'll be a big difference, but Zelda on the Nintendo Switch 1 was beautiful. There's no way about it. Zelda on the Nintendo Switch 1 was fantastic to look at. But when you've got a game like Scarlet and Violet, which quite frankly needs an upgrade, it needs to be bumped up, it needs to have better graphics and better hardware, and needs to be just kind of ran a bit better, then there is no way. And they won't do it, but you cannot charge me £30 to upgrade my Scarlet and Violet game, which can't run on the Nintendo Switch 1 to, let's be honest, an acceptable rate. The game is very bad to watch. Attempt to justify 30 Great British pounds. Roughly. Like I said, that's not confirmed, but roughly, to upgrade a game, especially like Scarlet and Violet, that will be... I won't bother. But then you've also got the question of, well, for example, you can just purchase the Nintendo Switch 2 versions of the games. Same again, we'll use Zelda as an example. There's the Nintendo Switch 1 version, but they have announced that a Nintendo Switch 2 game will come out for Breath of the Wild, for example. Tagged at the same price tag as rumoured to be tagged at the same price tag as Mario Kart at 80 Great British pounds. You cannot charge full price for a game that's already been made. Yes, you've upgraded the graphics, but the blueprint's already there. The game's made. You're just making the graphics better, running the game a bit better. Don't get me wrong, it'll probably still take a hell of a lot of work to do so, but not as much work as making a brand new game. Especially because obviously the physical cartridges that you'll be purchasing with the Nintendo Switch 2 games don't even hold the games themselves. But apparently they just hold the code to download the game. You need internet to download the game, and then you can play it without internet, but the cartridge still needs to be in it. But the cartridge itself doesn't hold the game. You're paying an extra 15 quid for a bit of plastic that downloads the game. Just get it off the eShop. You don't need Wi-Fi to play games off the eShop once they're downloaded. I understand they're going to be making a shit ton more money off this, but it's not worth it for the fans. So I urge you, if you have the opportunity, just purchase the games off the eShop. It'll be so much cheaper, and it just doesn't make sense buying the cartridges. I understand buying a physical game, there's like a sense about it, but it's not worth it. Now we're talking about the accessories, including, we'll start off with the camera. The kind of big thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 was, look, you can talk to your friends. Great. PlayStation have been doing this since PS2, PS3. The Xbox has been doing this since the Xbox 360. It's not that big of an upgrade, but fine, great, you've introduced it, fantastic, thank you. You can purchase this camera now that you can actually see your friends, a bit like FaceTime, which to be fair, the other games haven't done that. The other consoles haven't done that. Great, fantastic, well done. But only works with the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, which, it's just a camera. It's got a microphone on it, sure. But the fact that only the Nintendo Switch 2 camera works for it, I think once again, you're bordering on, is there a point? And I think the camera itself is around about 30, 40 quid. Like, it's not a cheap camera. So, and the quality of the camera is not meant to be fantastic either. So I think, I don't hate the idea of having the camera. I think that's fine. I just don't like the idea it only works with Nintendo Switch 2 camera. And there's a few other accessories that have come with the game, especially when I should purchase it. They give me a big list, and I'm just going for the bundle itself. But one thing I do want to defend, because I must stress, I am really looking forward to the Switch 2, and I think it's going to be a fantastic console. I know I'm just basically shitting on it at the moment. The mouse feature, I think it's a great idea. Maybe will I use it? Probably not. I think a lot of people have criticised it. Who's going to use it? Certain games will have it, Civilization 7 being one of them, and that bloody Rocket League wannabe in a wheelchair game is also going to be a mainstay for that feature. I don't hate the idea, just it's there to use, great. Maybe I won't use it, maybe a Mario game might use it at one point, maybe there'll be a Pokemon feature for it, who knows. Maybe, just an early shout, we can use that to justify a Pokemon Rangers game, who knows. I don't think it's a bad feature, and I can't imagine them chucking in, I can't imagine that bumping the price up too much at all, so I don't understand why you're kind of crapping on that as well. So, I must stress, I am looking forward to the Switch 2. If I wasn't, I wouldn't have pre-ordered it. So I think so far, do I think the Switch to itself is too expensive? No. The accessories, the games, everything else, yes, hella expensive. It kind of comes down to personal opinion. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Goodbye.